may be relevant to you. If there's older accounts that don't have balances or you're not really interested in viewing all the time, you can now hide these accounts. So there's 3 different views on accounts in Researcher Portal. You can have all of your accounts, active accounts, or accounts with balances. So the hide account feature has been added to the active accounts and the accounts with balances screen. So when you're here viewing any of your accounts, if there are any that you don't want to see when you land on this active accounts or accounts with balances screen, all you need to do is click on the little minus icon under the hide account column. You can hide any of these that you want to. And once they're hidden, anytime you come back to this active accounts, they're not going to show up again. If you decide later on that you do want to add them back to your active accounts or accounts with balances views, you just need to go to the all accounts page, and any of your hidden accounts will be up here grouped at the very top of the screen, so it's very easy to see them. And any that you want to unhide, you can just come here and click on the show account, and it will add it back to your active accounts or accounts with balances screens. So just in the past couple of weeks since this has been live, we've had over 40 PIs use this feature and over 240 accounts have already been hidden. So I think that already speaks to the value of this being added. So hopefully this is useful to all of you. And then 2 more things quickly that we added also with that same release. We had requests to add an FAQ document as well as a quick reference guide for new PIs. So here on your Researcher Portal landing page, the dashboard, under Researcher links, we have 2 new links here. This quick reference will just take you to a document. This was designed to be a very short document and just kind of hit some highlights of what's available in the Researcher Portal for those new researchers. So just quickly showing them an overview of the dashboard that's available, as well as highlighting the actions needed section that kind of shows you what's currently needing your action, and then information on where to find your administrative contacts over here. So that's the quick reference, and then the FAQ document we put together from our support email, kind of some of the most common questions that we get from researchers, how to do different actions in the Researcher Portal or where to find different items there. So these are the questions that we're starting out with now. These are all links. Once you open the document, you can go to a specific question. So one of the biggest questions we get is how to approve a proposal in the Researcher Portal. So if you click on this, it navigates you to that question as well as the answer. And all of the answers have step-by-step screenshots here with some text explaining the available actions, kind of what the next steps are and all of that. So this hopefully will be helpful to researchers as well as administrators if you're getting questions from the researchers as well. I think I'm going to go back to the slide. So that is the new items that we've added in Researcher Portal. And I'll also say if there's questions at any time, please feel free to unmute and ask us those questions or send the questions in the chat. And we'll definitely watch out for those. And if I miss any questions from the chat, Vanna or David, please just let me know. So the next item I'm going to show you is we received a request to add some new PI compliance items to cover biosafety and life sciences. So we've got a screenshot on the slide just to kind of show you what you're going to see, but I'm going to show you in Researcher Portal from the researcher view for a proposal that you're approving, what you will see. So previously on the proposals, we had 3 questions on the compliance section that you were asked as a researcher to complete. And we've now added a 4th to cover this new life sciences item. So previously you were answering on the human subjects, animals, or the international collaboration. there's a new item here asking if your proposal involves life sciences. You can see the full definition here. If you click on the More link, it'll pop up and give you the full definition of what life sciences is. And then at the end of this definition, there's instructions for you to click on the related URL link here. I'll show you in just a second to download a form that's being required where you'll complete an assessment of the life sciences items in your proposal. And then that assessment is required to be uploaded with this question when you answer yes. If the answer to this question is no at the proposal stage, or for your specific proposal, there's no additional action required of you. So that's the only step you would have to do. But once you select yes, you'll see that this required documents box pops up with the upload icon for you there. So this related URL is going to take you to the assessment form that you will be completing. So there's information here at the beginning, and then there's questions that you'll fill out about your proposal. And we have a form currently, depending on which member your proposal is with. Some members are using the TAMU IVC group, and some are using the TAMU system, and they each have their own forms, but the assessment questions, I believe, are the same. But the link is going to take you to the correct one. So you'll complete that, upload the document here, and then you also, once you answer yes, you get an additional supplemental question. Does the proposal involve life sciences, DIRC, and or PEP? And that is coming from your answers on the assessment question. And again, you can click more here to see whether your assessment determined that it's falling into category 1 or category 2 research, and you can answer yes or no here. On the proposal stage, if you answer yes to life sciences but no to DIRC and PEP, the compliance officials do not or requested not to receive a notification on that. But if you answer yes to both questions, then your compliance official for the member, whoever's listed here, will be notified, and then they can come into Maestro if needed, and they can review the uploaded assessment that you've provided. The next item
Crystal, before you move to the next topic, there is a question in the chat about the FAQs and the quick reference, if they are available for PAs so they can share with the PIs.
So you can, as a project or proposal administrator, get back to Maestro. So you can, as a project or proposal administrator, depending on your roles, if you have the researcher reviewer role, you can get to those documents in Researcher Portal as well. But from the administrative screens, you can access these documents also with all of our documentation. So under the home screen of Maestro, About Maestro, Documentation Search, this is where all of our user manuals are published for Maestro. So you can search here if you need to, but it's right here, the Researcher Portal FAQ. It's the same document here. I wouldn't recommend downloading this and sharing it if you can avoid that, just because the downloaded copy isn't going to be updated, and these documents are continuously updated in Maestro. So it's best if you can just help the PI navigate to the right spot, but if needed, that's where you can access it as an administrator. Here, okay, so the next item that we're going to cover is research security training. So the Department of Energy has implemented a requirement for security training for proposals submitted today forward. So we have added some features in Maestro to accommodate those requirements, as well as tracking who has met the requirements. So a few updates that we've added, I'll show you. what we did. I'll show you on the screen, but just so that everyone knows, because I missed having this slide, but what we did in Maestro was add a sponsor table indicator so that we can define for each sponsor who's requiring security training. So currently we've only received information that, I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong environment. We've received information that the Department of Energy and then any of their child sponsors where Department of Energy on our sponsor table is listed as the parent sponsor is requiring this for proposals at this time, but we have received information that in the future additional sponsors are also going to be implementing this requirement. So what we did to be able to define that is we added an indicator on the sponsor level to say whether or not security training is required by that sponsor. And we have the ability to define if it's required on proposal, only on project, or on both proposal and project. So currently, Department of Energy and all of the children sponsors under Department of Energy are listed as requiring this training on the proposal. So the way that we have implemented this to help track all of that, as well as cover this for the researchers and provide information to the proposal administrators, is that during the proposal preparation, so we've got some indicators on screen that will show, sorry, when it's required and that it has not yet been met by everyone on the proposal. So if they've selected a sponsor, and this is in our test environment, so Cotton Incorporated is not one of the sponsors that's requiring this, but if they've selected Department of Energy and they're preparing a proposal and they've listed out all of the personnel on the personnel screen, this requirement applies in Maestro to the PI, co-PI, and co-Is. So if any of those people have not completed the required training, then we're going to show an indicator for proposal administrators. It'll be on the proposal general screen. During the proposal routing for approval, so PIs and everyone on the routing path will also see this message as well. So it's just letting you know that the sponsor is requiring research security training and one or more of the investigators has not yet fully completed the required training. So if we go to the personnel screen, this is going to give you some additional information here. So you get the same message here on the personnel. And then because this sponsor is listed as requiring training, you've got two additional columns here on the personnel table where we have security training completed, and we'll show an X if they have not fully completed the training or a check mark if they have. And then we will also show the courses completed. So if I click on this help text here, this also shows the training courses and train track that have been added to meet this training requirement. And these trainings are from NSF and what DOE has said will meet their training requirements. So there's two options. There's one combined course that kind of puts all of these together, and it's this course number 2114875. If the PI has completed that combined training course, then they have met the training requirement. Additionally, there are 4 individual courses that they can take, all 4 of those that would again meet that training requirement. So that's how we're determining whether the training requirement has been met or not yet fully met. And then if they've completed some of the individual courses, then they're still not going to be marked as meeting the training requirement yet, but we will show which ones they have completed. So this is just for reference after the fact. Also on the general screen for the administrators, we're going to show this indicator when they select a sponsor. in the sponsor or prime sponsor field that does have this requirement. So it's just going to be similar to the indicator we have for sponsors that are from countries of concern. It's just red text with the help icon, and the help icon just references that this is the sponsors requiring security training from the CHIPS and Science Act. Oh, thank you, Kimberly. That is perfect question that I did forget to go over. So what we did in Maestro, we were asked not to prevent the proposal from being routed in those cases. So if the security training has not been met, the proposal can still go through the full routing process, since that can be a timely process sometimes. So what the validation is instead in Maestro is updating the status. So the proposal should not be submitted if that training has not been completed. So the status on the proposal cannot be updated to submitted to sponsor until all the training has been completed by anyone in the roles of PI, co-PI, or co-I. So once all of that is done, then we will allow the status to be updated, and then you could submit to the sponsor the proposal. The next item that we have is just sharing a little bit about the existing budget entry in Maestro. This was the initial step before we moved into the budget forecasting to kind of get some initial information added to be used in the forecasting. So for budget entry, I just want to quickly show you where you can view information on your budget that SRS is creating. So the budget entry is going to be under the project tab, and you'll select your project that you want to view, and then navigate to the budget tab here. And this will show you the sponsored budget that whoever's setting up your projects and creating your budget entries at, if your projects are managed by SRS, then that's the asset team. They can fully define the project budget for multiple years. And so this view defaults to a graph view. But if you want to see details by year and numbers, in the different budget category pools, then you can select to hide the chart here. And it'll switch to this table view. So you can see here, they're able to define funding periods. So this is typically the budget years. So they can define each period, and then they have the ability to define budgets by category by year also. So you can see all of this individually as well as cumulatively for your project. And then it's also comparing over here. If you expand this, down here, then it's showing sponsor budget versus your real-time budget if that budget has been posted yet. And that is going to be by all the accounts under the billing project for this project. But this is going to be used as the foundation for budget forecasting. So Banno will talk a little bit more about that. And I just want to show you one more place to get kind of some financial information on your project. So also under budget, we have this billing project tab. And here you can see your budget by billing project. So this project has multiple billing projects here, and you can see things like your budget start date and some percentages down here under the accounts tab. So for each billing project, you can click on accounts, and then as you change the selected account number here, it will update to kind of give you some more information here. I'll click on the active account. But here you can also see your revenue budget, direct budget. If you want to even look at your indirect, you can see that. And then you can also see some percentages. Here, I should have added this before, but you can add some additional columns here in your billing project to see some additional information that will be more visible and all of that in the budget forecasting. But here you can see your percent of the money spent. So this is comparing your budget to expenses, as well as looking at the time spent. So our budgets have kind of already passed, but you can see this calculation. This is going to be based on your period of performance there. And then it's also going to calculate some average expenses for you for the last 3 months. And then just capturing some of those forecasting calculations for your time versus money.
So first of all, thank you for Crystal for putting me on the budget forecasting module, which is a continuation of what we built in the budget entry. The current screen that Crystal just showed are what is available for researchers on the researcher portal, but we have more sophisticated tool built for administrators where they can enter all of those amounts and they plan the sponsor budget across different funding periods. And they actually integrate with financial system where they can push current fiscal year financial into the financial system. So that brings the budget forecasting, which is a continuation what we built in the budget entry, to use the data that entered by SRS in planning for the sponsored budget for, let's say, for a specific account across 5 years of funding period into and putting it into a forecasting module that it is usable by the PI. So rather than PIs entering all the data from the beginning, we have a lot of data that SRS entered that we're going to use to build forecasting plans for the PI. When also they can come and adjust to it and based on their own version without touching what have been entered to forecast into the future. So what brings this in? Because like we did some work on and completed it for the current module, which is like create multi-period budget entries and create the initial data, which I already spoke about it. Then enable also project administrator to route, approve the current year and budget in financial system. And that set us for the future, which is creating the tool for the PIs to better manage the forecast and the research project funding. So we met in CPI meeting to ask for volunteers to create a PI focused group and we're looking also for more volunteers if anybody would like to volunteer for defining what is the problem at the moment. So we're looking for more than 2 to 3 meetings in May, June to define the problem, try to brainstorm some solution ideas and discuss it in terms of what it is best usable for the PIs to build this tool and what kind of a components that we would like to have it in to better forecast budget. Of course, this is the email address for Maestro, which is maestro@tamwo.edu. So you can send us if you are interested in being in this PI focus group. We got some volunteers already, but we're looking for more PI centric group. That's the plan on the budget forecast. We have some solution ideas that we set currently. Those not implemented yet, but those kind of some of the ideas that we're looking to implement is at the beginning to create a portfolio. Let's say they're a PI who is a department head and want to group their list of accounts based on and separate them from departmental accounts and research accounts. And even if the PI wants to group those portfolios or group those accounts based on the sponsor. Let's say I want to group all of those accounts under a portfolio called, let's say, Department of Energy portfolio. So you can create a group and assign accounts based on awards that you have in your list to that portfolio, which is going to be easily viewable in the portfolio detail and easy to forecast for. So that's going to give us the initial grouping mechanism where you can also switch and see details for those accounts based on the group. So that's one of the first ideas that we're looking to implement. Then going into the next one, which is more portfolio details, where we're going to see what is currently in the financial system under that portfolio accounts compared to what is entered as a sponsored budget. So as a team did a great job, put all the funding period, put the plans for the sponsored budget. So we're going to show you those details compared to the financial budget, adding the ability to add notes onto that portfolio detail on each specific line item. Let's say if you want to spend more on a specific account, then okay, like you need to add that note so you can tag it and add a note to it. Or let's say if you are spending more than what it is planned for, or what is currently is in the sponsored budget, then you might run into deficit. So if you want to add that note. So that's kind of the portfolio detail is showing the comparison between what is currently in the financial budget and what is in the sponsored budget. Then the next idea is actually more drilled down into the details, which is part of what we have as initial data for several funding periods. Let's say in this example, we have this account, which is planned for 4 years from 26 to 23, with all of the sponsored budget amounts under, let's say, several categories, including salaries, benefits, and other expense categories entered. And you can see the total sponsored budget for it across several funding periods. Then ability to drill down and go, let's say, into salaries and enter like who's going to be paid under this account in terms of salary, in terms of months, across several funding periods. And let's say if you have a graduate student or a postdoc or a person that you want to assign budget to, but you don't know who's the person yet, you create a position to be determined position, and you can assign a salary and number of months and benefits for that specific position. If you are not sure yet who's the person that's going to be working on this project across, let's say, the future. So this is also the detail of adding forecasting into specific accounts. Of course, we try to use tools and initialize data based on what we have to make this as smooth and simple as possible. Then the next thing is like provide a dashboard that reflects all the data for a specific portfolio with all of the visual graphs to show what it is currently actual and what it is in forecast. And this is, of course, going to move over the time every time you check in this dashboard or you do adjustment or changes on the forecasts. So we have identified a couple of charts that we might place onto this dashboard, like burn rates, cumulative burn rates, or giving you warnings also, or alerts about, let's say, accounts that's going to end in 90 days and what is the spending trend for that specific accounts. So this is kind of a more visual of the data that going to be built inside those forecasting tools. Of course, as I mentioned with the PI focus group, we're going to explore other ideas that you might find suitable and go from there defining specification and starting the implementation of this new tool in Maestro. The first initial plan, like May, June, is to brainstorm ideas, define specification, and from June to December, we're looking to implementation, testing, and if everything works according to the plan, probably releasing it January 26, which is like we're saying about 6 to 7 months from now. So there is another tool that we built for researchers that I'm gonna demo, which is the researcher keywords. award keywords. But I'm gonna just go through a demo. I'm gonna make it fast. If I speak a lot about it, because I like it and I'm excited about it, same way as I'm excited about the budget forecasting. So I might speak a lot over here. So this new tool, if you go to Maestro, so I'm gonna just start from the beginning where you can see some of the items behind it. So in Maestro, there is a keyword group screen that can show you several groups and keywords that we have inside Maestro that we use to identify and search inside projects or proposals, data and documents, and classify those keywords for better finding, let's say, collaborators or awards or projects based on those identified keywords. So this is the settings page where you can see all of our public groups along with what keywords inside each of those groups. And you can create your own private group if you want to use it in the search. So I'm going to show you where you're going to use this later on. So I have, let's here, like 3 private groups. There is several other public groups, and we have around 145,000 keyword currently in the Maestro dictionary. And any additions to those, we accept it and we can add it to our dictionary. So this is the keyword group settings. This is can be, let's say, customized per each user. Under the dashboard, we added 2 new screens. There is a word keyword search and there is the collaborator search. So if I go to the award keyword search screen, you can search each award based on the keywords that we identified at the moment. So what does the system do? It goes and scans all proposals, all projects, as long as it's not classified or restricted, and it identifies keywords inside those projects. And before I go to the search page, I'm so sorry. I'm just gonna pick this as an example. And it goes and identifies all of those keywords and lists them as a keyword suggested, keywords inside this specific award or this specific proposal. So this is all system generated. So we have a data analysis / AI tool that goes in the back end. It's like to analyze all the documents, all the data associated with this award, and it identifies several keywords inside it. And the user can confirm some of those. So those are system generated, then there is a confirmed one. If the user confirmed those, then the search will be limited to the confirmed one. And if you didn't like the suggested ones or the confirmed one, you can add any of those keywords as an identified keyword for this specific award. So you can see over here in this example, the PI find that, okay, I need to confirm just those keywords because other items that we identified is just there in the data or it's in the documents, but I don't want to make use of it. So that reflects on the keyword search itself. So if you go to the award keyword search, let's say if I wanted to search for 2D materials and 3D materials and let's say 3D printing. So you can select several keywords to search for. And once you click the search, it's actually searching inside all of those keywords identified by the system or the user confirmed. If the user confirmed, we're going to ignore the generated ones, and it's going to list all of those awards. So this is on the award keyword search. And we have the groups that I just show you under your settings. You have a keyword groups. We have several public keywords and we have a private keyword groups. So those are private keywords only visible to the logged in user because they are private to the logged in user. And there is like the public ones. And if you created a private one and you think that's going to be used by everybody, we're happy to get that request and we just mark it as public, then it's going to be exposed to everybody. So let's say if I go to space exploration, I can see all the keywords under this group. Once I click search, it's actually searching for all awards that has all of those keywords listed in, and that includes data and documents, and it's gonna list those fields. If you are interested what kind of fields we're searching inside, is going to list it under the keyword data sources if you click on the help icon. So those are the fields we're searching, and those are the documents that we are searching as well for those keywords. And those documents, either an email uploaded document to that award, or a PDF file, or even an image. So this is the award keyword search. Then we have built another screen on top of this, which is the collaborator search. The collaborator search is if you want to search for collaborators in a specific fields based on those keywords. So once I pick those keywords, you can see a list of people, and it's going to list how many proposals or active awards they have based on those keywords that you listed in. And it's going to give you exactly like their contact information, and if they listed also those keywords under their area of interest. Let's say you pick somebody over here, then you can go and explore more details, and you can see like their area of interest, what is their active research projects. That's what we're listing in the detail page. And there is also a search by name. This is like a very name specific search for mainly collaborators, but you can just search by the person name. So those are the two screens that we have added to the system that uses the keyword search at the back end. We have more other screens available for the administrators. They can access for specifically for their proposal or their projects. That's only built for administrators, but we have all of those screens built for PIs.